not holding out much hope.
And on to the last subject, the one that I laughed most about, but actually I think on reflection will be the most interesting.
Yeah, so Avenged Sevenfold's guitarist Synyster Gates, right, and I'm gonna no, you won't be able to see this on the audio, confirms he will record a jazz solo album.
Yes, the confirms was in
air quotes.
Air quotes.
Let's go with that. Yeah, confirms. So this was posted on Ultimate Guitar. Ultimate Guitar did an interview with Synyster Gates, and clearly they've watched a bit of YouTube, and they saw that he did a Guitar Center video where he was playing some gypsy jazz. Not great. Not great at all. You know, anyone that thinks that's great is a metal fan that's never listened to actual gypsy jazz, which makes sense. Just go put some Jimmy Rosenberg on, and you never listen to Synyster Gates. Do that again.
Even just go to the root and just go Django Reinhardt.
Yeah. I find Django harder to I still love Django, but Jimmy's easier to listen to because the recordings are modern.
Right.
Whereas Django, it's all janky old vinyl recordings.
Yeah, I just because that's like the heart of it.
Yeah, totally.
At least if you ask him like who's the most notable.
Yeah.
And I don't mean for technicality or for anything else, just for being like the big name.
Yeah. He invented it.
Yeah.
I know, like, some people argue on that. Go and study the history of it. That was his sound. He did that. Anyway, so the interviewer asked the question, or said, you started exploring jazz in recent years. Is there any other genre that you wanted to explore and didn't get the chance to? So that if my memory serves me correct, I think this is actually incorrect. The interviewer has made that assumption based on this one video, but he's always been into that kind of thing. He went to Berkeley and did Berkeley, and it was for jazz. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I found this quote, but I absolutely remember, because it was the reason I checked Avenged Sevenfold out.
Mm-hmm.
When he was in Berkeley, also in a band called Pinkley Smooth with the Rev, he joined Avenged Sevenfold because he wanted to start have an outlet for some of his jazz chops. That's a quote, not a direct quote. I'm paraphrasing. So that was my reason to go, okay, cool, I'll check these out, because I was listening to a lot of jazz at the time, and I remember seeing that in an interview, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Anyway, so the interviewer then goes on and says, will you ever record your own jazz solo album? And the response, and I quote, is, yes, I will. I mean, to me, that's quite dismissive.
When? That I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's...
So to go with the headline of confirms he will record a jazz solo album, feel like you're reaching a bit there.
Yeah, awfully presumptuous that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If he'd said, actually, I'm in the studio as of this dates and this dates, and we're hoping to release it then, it'll be this record label, or we're seeking record label details, something like that.
Yeah. I've written these songs, I'm influenced by these artists.
Yes, is not really an answer to that.
You played over some backing tracks in Guitar Center. Are you going to do a jazz solo album? Spoilers, guys. Jazz isn't about just playing over backing tracks.
Definitely,
there's a lot more to it than that. So I caught him at Download. It was all right. I didn't watch all of it, and we left before the end, and that actually says a lot, because they were one of my wife's favourite bands. So tragic.
I have no positive opinion on the band.
Really?
None.
I mean, you know what that means, don't you? You're going to get City of Evil on an album club one week.
I'm afraid we're going to have to forfeit, because it's not happening.
No, it absolutely will, and you won't like it, and then you'll get to the track "The Wicked End," and the end of the track,
songs will be ended itself.
100% all Synyster Gates, because his big influence is Danny Elfman. The end of that track could just be from the soundtrack of Edward Scissorhands. It's well done.
Instantly puts me off, so there's no chance. So if you give me an Avenged Sevenfold album, please be prepared that I'm going to turn up the next recording with, so you gave me this album, but actually listen to this one instead, and here's what I thought of it. That's just a warning, by the way. That's
great. I can't wait to put that to the test. Right, and I'm going to use that as a springboard. So I'm going to give you an album to go away and listen to while you're on holiday. And this is we're still yet to do our proper discussion on Symphony X and Incubus. That's going to be a heated one, so we'll hold off on that. But I want to present you and our listeners with something, just because I've had it on a lot recently, and it's not guitar. And
you did mention you were going to give me an album that didn't have any real guitar in it.
So I said this to you yesterday, and said I'm going to do something different and present you something without guitar. But having said that, you did give me Bjork, which had no guitar on it. So
I think there's maybe a tiny bit, but it's definitely not the
certainly not instrument. Alien. So what I'm going to present to you is a different instrument, because I am a huge fan of pedal steel. Absolutely love pedal steel guitar. For those unfamiliar with pedal steel is comes from that lap steel tradition, where you take a guitar and have it flat on your lap, action very high, and you play slide on it.
And you usually don't have a carved back of the neck either. It's usually full slab, so you've just got the fretboard.
Exactly. So that tradition of like Hawaiian guitar, which they called slack key guitar, moved into its own thing, lap steel playing, very popular. But then as the years went on, some clever people went, well, I think we can do more with this. What the problem with playing in an open tuning is it's very difficult to play anything other than your major chord with a bar. So some clever people came up with the idea of adding foot pedals, mechanical pedals that would change the pitch of the strings to allow you to do
B-bend and a G-bend kind of thing.
Exactly, that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
And then even more clever people went, well, we've got a lot of pedals, but maybe we could add some like knee levers as well. So you can move your knees left and right to do more mechanical movements. I have a basic Carter pedal steel starter upstairs, and it has 3 foot pedals and 4 knee levers. That's pretty basic. When you go into the top level stuff, you're talking like 7 foot pedals and 5 knee levers, which is it's just crazy when you watch these people play. And I want to bring it forward because I genuinely feel that the pedal steel guitar is the greatest instrument that has ever existed. Unfortunately, no one really plays it because
it takes you about 2 weeks to tune it.
It takes forever to tune, and they're pedal steel copedents, which is the way they're tuned and the tuning methods they use, are so ridiculous. But it's done because it's not a fretted instrument. It doesn't use our same tempered system for intonation. It can be truly in tune, and they tune it truly in tune. And there are notes on it. You'll have 2 notes that are the same, but they're actually tuned to a slightly different hertz reference point.
So like 440 versus 432.
Yeah. But even smaller than that, like 440 versus 443. And you go, this doesn't really make any sense, but then you play it and you go, this just resonates. This is just true. You can get a very lyrical vibrato with the bar, of course, and then add in the fact that you've got your feet that can change pitches of strings, so you can play chords and have notes moving in different directions, multiple notes, some notes going up, some going down. You can create some really, really out there sounds. And they also have a volume pedal that they're using with their right foot. With the right foot
and stuff.
Everything is sort of played with the volume pedal half down, and then as the note continues, the volume pedal is gradually pushed down, so it's like a faux sustain that they do
that's
that
clever.
for.
That's clever.
It's just absolutely incredible. So
it sounds a bit like the weird trem system that Matthias Clun's got on one of his comparisons that he plays in OK. The one where it's like 6 independent blocks and they can trem up and down.
Yes.
So you can make notes like either fight against each other, so one might be going upwards, might be going down.
Yeah, that's a deep cut actually. I forgot about that trem thing that he has there, but
it's a deep cut.
Yeah.
In what sense?
No one will know that.
They're going to have to go.
I know a lot about all guitar things, and I'd forgotten about that until
that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and I love the video for it as well. Like, look it up, Matthias Clun, OK, and he's playing it, and like, at first you think he's just playing with a trem, and then you watch him playing, and you're going, "Fucking hell, man! It's 6 individual like thumb levers," and he's like, there's a bit where he does it's like it looks a bit like a harmony bend or a unison bend, sorry, but it's like he's pushing one string down and one up at the same time, and
just crazy sounds.
He's just one of the most incredibly, vocals the only way I can put it, like, instrumentalists I've ever heard. He's just so emotive when he plays, man.
Sounds like you should be giving me a Matthias. I have all.
You're already suck out his dick as much as I do anyway.
But it's for the listeners too.
Yeah,
so
true.
The album I'm going to give you is Buddy Emmons' album. This is you'll be able to get it on Spotify. It's just I believe it's a best of. I could be wrong on that, and it's just called Steel Guitar, 2015 album. Buddy Emmons is kind of the granddaddy of the pedal steel guitar. I believe the story goes that when the guy said, I'm going to put some pedals and knee levers and things, I've got 3 pedals and 4 knee levers on this. How would you have them set up? What would you do with them? What do you think would work? He went away for like 3 days before a trade show and came back and had worked out, like, I'd want this pedal to do this pedal to do that, and knee levers to do all of this. And that is pretty much the standard. 60 years later, that is still how people do them. He got it right from the get-go.
It's a bit like the Telecaster, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was just right for the start.
Yeah. So Buddy obviously played a lot of country music with people, and here's the problem with pedal steel. It has an instant country sound. You hear it all over country music, but there are some great players like Buddy who happily ventured outside of that. On this album, you'll see Canon in D, which is obviously classical music.
That's cool.
Very cool. Not on this album, but he also played with like Danny Gatton in like jazz bands and things.
Very versatile then.
Yeah,
Knows
super
how to put it in
versatile.
wherever he wants it.
Had his double neck, one tune to E9 and one tune to C6, and the C6 was like your jazz neck, and the E9 was your country neck. Yeah, super cool. So I'm going to recommend you check out Steel Guitar. I think you'll really dig it, especially when you get to track 3, Wild Mountain Time, which is just so unbelievably expressive. Yeah. So I'm just gushing over that.
Quite excited to hear about that. Funnily enough, one of the albums I've got lined up for you for Album Club has a bit of pedal steel on it.
Yeah?
Aye.
Okay. Good. So you do know enough about pedal steel to pick it out.
Yeah. I mean, you can. If you've ever watched SpongeBob SquarePants, you can pick it out.
Do they have a pedal
Most of the
on that?
themes and through the actual.
I thought it was all lap.
You might be right. Actually, that's a good point.
Hawaiian guitar.
Yeah, that is definitely more Hawaiian themed. Aye,
Yeah.
good point.
So yeah, and for anyone out there watching, go and check out as many pedal steel players as you possibly can, because they're a dying art. It is a dying art, and I think probably during our lifetime that is an instrument that we probably will see the death of.
If someone was kind enough to find a better way for it to tune and stay in tune,
It stays in tune great.
but you need to tune it.
It's just one of those instruments that, if you wanted to learn to play the pedal steel, you need to buy one. They're very hard to find, especially in the UK. And then how do you go about learning it? You can get some books.
YouTube's
You're
your
not
best
going to
bet.
find a local teacher, and YouTube lessons are great for learning things, but really there comes a point in your learning where you need to be able to say to someone or ask a question and get an actual answer to help you, rather than just constantly watching what they're doing and not having faults in your technique corrected.
I'd say one further than that. Most people who have a teacher they see will point out, you're doing it this way, maybe try it this way, without prompt. Not because they think the way you're doing it's wrong necessarily, but more so this is probably easier for you and more economical.
Yeah.
And it's just adding tools into your toolbox for anything.
Yeah, so add into that even if you do decide to go the route of learning to play the pedal steel like I did, it's a lot of work. You come to a point where it's like, right, what do I do now? There's no real call for it. Apparently country music is the second most popular genre of music in the UK and the most popular genre of music in the world, but pedal steel guitar players, pretty hard to find. I drove across America like the week of getting a pedal steel and needed to pick up a few things for it while I was out there, and the things I needed were thumb picks and shit and a tone bar, one of these. My pedal steel tone bar.
She's butt plugged, don't let him kid you.
It's a butt plug, yeah. It gets more use as a butt plug now than it does as my pedal steel tone bar. Or some fecal matter on it. So
There's a bit of fecal matter between friends.
Yeah, I went to maybe 9 or 10 different music shops across 6 states, and there was only one where I could get a tone bar. So even in like the homeland of that music,
obviously not sought after.
it just wasn't something that they felt the need to stock.
And it doesn't even have a flared bass. That's a flawed design.
What?
It doesn't have a flared bass. I asked twice. That's terrible.
It's the headphones. Yeah. I forget. Like, really, I should have had us being monitored. Why are we even wearing these headphones?
I thought that at the start, but I didn't just want to take them off. So fuck it.
They are comfortable.
Yeah, it's a fashion choice.
Yeah.
Style.
Yeah, cool. And this also proves something that I have said to people on my YouTube channel many, many times before. I love these headphones so much, I have 2 pairs of them. So when I say get yourself some Biodynamic DT770 Pros, this is a genuine ringing endorsement of them. I have 2 pairs of them.
And to be fair, that the few times I've used them in here, which has been listening to tracks in here or playing PlayStation VR, it definitely adds to the immersion of shitting yourself playing scary games or sitting in your living room and like feeling like the car's about to slide when I'm playing like driving sims, and then realising, no, I'm actually sitting on a chair in a house.
Yep.
Very
so
immersive.
There we go. We've only recorded for 35 minutes. It's a super short episode of Guitar Souls, but yeah, we've got lots of breaks coming up. Mike, you're away. I'm away next week for a week. So these will go up gradually during that, and then we get back and we're going to try and get another recording in because then you're away for 2 weeks.
Yes.
So
But
madness.
don't fret, dear listeners. We'll have plenty of content.
Yes.
No need to concern yourselves. I'm sure you'll all be crying at the thought of a week without
us, yeah.
Just without in general. a deep void.
Yeah. So thank you very much for tuning in.
As ever.
It's been fun.
Always is.
It's been emotional.
I don't know about emotional, but yeah, it's definitely been fun.
But until next time.
Bye, fuckers.